You're probably watching this video because you're looking into starting a EV charging project, or maybe you have a larger portfolio that you have to plan for. The intention for this agenda is to kind of go through everything that you would need to understand in order to make the best decisions for your business. Maybe the focus is on cost, maybe it's on experience, driver experience, maybe it's a combination of both of those things. But the intention of this video series is for you to weigh the pros and cons of all of those different circumstances and decide what's best for you. The first thing that you want to decide is what your use case and what your application is. How does EV charging impact your business? That will allow you to make the best investments possible. After this, what we'll talk about is the charging value stack. So, how to build your partner tree and how to avoid wasted time. There's a lot of different companies out there that feel similar when you're looking into the EV charging space, but they're actually experts in very different things. So, how to think about those different players and build them together to provide you the best possible experience. The third thing, operability comparisons. I always like to make the Apple and Android comparison here. It's very similar in the EV charging industry. And so, what's important to you and who are the players that would be defined as Apple versus Android within the charging ecosystem? And how do you make a decision on what's best for your business case? Number four, charging hardware, software, support, maintenance, installing, and battery. That was a mouthful, but what should you consider? There are so many options out there, so many things to take into account. How should you decide what investments to make and probably what will be the most expensive capital uh, expenditure that you make within your project? Number five, funding. So there's a ton of funding out there. And if you're smart about it, usually you can take advantage of it. How do you use what's available to you? We're going to go over that. Number six, reducing charging operating costs. So, in 5 or 10 years after you make all these capital investments, you're probably going to look back at these investments and do the numbers out and realize, wow, our biggest cost tied to this overall project was actually the operating costs, not the capital costs. And so, how do you lower operating costs based on how you're planning to buy stations or install stations or work with your utility company? We'll get into that. Number seven, 2035 planning. At the end of the day, right now, if you focus on your existing project as an individual charging project without thinking holistically, it almost definitely will cost you more money over the next decade or so. So, just a little bit of planning will go a long way. We want to help you understand how to think about that. Number eight, fleet consideration. So, generally, fleets are the most challenging EV charging projects to deploy. There's so many factors to take into account, not just installing charging stations for a workplace who happen to plug in at a certain time. You got to make sure that the vehicles that you're charging are ready for the business operations that are needed every single day. And so there are so many factors to take into account there. It's something we'll get into. And then the next piece is the next steps to implementing your project. So where to go from here. This is meant to be comprehensive. There's going to be a lot here. And again, if you have any questions about any of these topics, there'll be a link at the bottom to schedule a meeting about us, and we can dig into any of these topics that are here to help you understand what the next steps are and things to take into account when making your EV charging decisions. And we'll also have several free resources available to you to make the best decisions that you can.